I wish people would know that they are the hero of the journey, that they also are the problem.
Welcome back to Mirror Talk Soulful Conversations. Today's guest is a radiant force of healing and transformation. She's a certified yoga teacher and life coach who left behind decades of high-pressure corporate leadership to heal herself. And now she's dedicated her life to guiding others through their own awakenings. After facing burnout, chronic healing, and anxiety, she turned to ancient practices, yoga, and spiritual surrender to rediscover her what, rebuild her health, and reprogram limiting beliefs. Today, she is known for her powerful blend of somatic healing and empowerment coaching rooted in both ancient wisdom and modern science. Welcome to the show, Jennifer. How are you doing?
I'm amazing. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me for wonderful conversations. Thank you so much for making all the time in between your moving right now to speak with me about, to reawaken ourselves, how to, heal ourselves from, or not heal ourselves, overcome burnout and become even much more better, a better version of ourselves, basically. But before we go into all the questions I have to ask you today, because I have a lot of questions to ask you, I would like us to play a game of wildcard so that we could get to know you by asking random questions. Are you up for it? Are you ready?
I'm totally up for it.
So, we have three levels. We have the icebreakers, we have the confessions level, and we have the getting deeper level. So I'm going to pick a card randomly right now from the icebreaker. And the first question is, when was the last time you were really excited? What was it about?
I'm super excited right now. I'm in the middle of moving. My family, my children, and I have been wanting to move to Florida. We live in the East Coast in Northern Virginia now, and we've been looking because we vacationed in Florida for many, many years. We have a timeshare in a place called Singer Island. And then we thought as they got older, maybe they'd want to live in South Beach in Miami. It's a super hot, fun space and just gorgeous. And so I've been working towards the goal was to go when both kids graduate high school. My son graduated last year. My daughter graduates in a few weeks. And I'm super excited to say that we bought a house, not in either of those locations in Florida, but in a place called Ponte Vedra Beach, which is 20 miles south of Jacksonville. And I sold this house I'm in. It's a ratified contract. It was on the market only 2 days. We got the offer in and it will close on the 10th of May. And I already bought the new house and half the family's already moved. I was there last week. I came in, flew home last night here. And it's why it's so exciting and I want to share that when people think about next level midlife, like where to go, what to do. And it's sometimes like so overwhelming to change careers. I've done that to change, not much less change jobs. I've totally changed careers and reinvented myself. And then to have that empty nester syndrome, that fear of that. But you can have whatever you want. You just have to have the dream in your heart. And we've been dreaming for years and we found the perfect place and 7 miles from the beach, have a beautiful pool like this oasis for my yoga business to thrive there. So, and then what I'll say, the one thing that I really had to hone in on is to manifest isn't just to have the dream, but to take inspired action. So it took a ton of action to get to this place. It didn't just, I wish it just magically happened, but a lot of effort with desire and movement and focus, honestly. And so this is one of the most exciting times of my life. So that's what's happening in my world. And that's why I'm super excited right now.
So congratulations on everything that's
Thank
happening
you.
right now. And yeah, a new phase of life and new chapter basically to experience greater things in life. That's awesome. That's great.
So cool.
I'm so happy to hear that. Are you ready for the next question?
Yeah. Bring it.
It is, what is a chance you are glad you took? It's so related.
A chance that I'm glad I took. So a big chance was quitting my corporate career. I was there 26 years. So it wasn't just like I quit to try to go to another job. I started my own business. It was literally a side hustle that I was building for about 7 years. And I didn't really think it was going to be what it turned into. A couple things had shifted and changed, but the chance I took was on me. The chance I took was that the world of healing and spiritual awakening is necessary and needed and it because it was based on my own journey. And I had to confront the fear, the imposter syndrome of, will people really want to do the work that I've had to do to get to the place I'm at, which feels much better, more aligned happiness and health and wellness, and not wait for somebody else to do it for me, or wait for a business partner to engage, or somebody to pay me. I mean, a lot of it was sweat equity and just doing it for free until I built the clientele up. That taking a chance on a new vertical, and then getting certified and trained, and again inspired action to feel equipped and really qualified. But the chance at the end of the day, when I look back through what that was it was on me to believe in me enough and to believe in a dream that I could help people the way that I needed help so desperately. And I couldn't find it without going through a lot of different modalities. And what I created from that is put together a shorter plan. Like, somebody could do the work that it took me 12 years. And I'm still doing work, let's be honest. But what took me 12 years, you could do in a year with the blueprint I created. So that's the chance. Me.
Yeah, taking a chance on yourself.
Yeah.
Just a follow-up question on to that, if I may ask. It's not on the card. It's just something that came up to me. Like,
Yeah.
taking chances basically in life, or starting something new, starting afresh. Like, what do you have to overcome? Do you have to overcome some fear? What do you have to do in order to take those chances? Are they easy to take?
Oh God, no. I think it's inspired hope. You have to live in a place of hope and keep aligning to, I'd been in such a dark place for many different reasons and many different times in my life. And the idea of, if, and I was a little bit desperate about it, if only somebody had the answer, or the solvent, the tincture,
Mm.
I would feel better. I just wanted to be better. I wanted to feel better. I wanted to love my life. I wanted to love myself. And I didn't know. I'd hear the podcast, and it was never enough information, that I just needed more. And it wasn't an easy button or a quick fix. So no, it wasn't easy, but I had little glimmers of hope. I'd hear somebody's story of trial to triumph and their victim to victor. And so I started to need them together, to net them together. And then also overcoming the almost paralyzing fear of putting yourself out there and what will people think. And here's what I want to share is, people don't think as much about you as you think they do, because they're also so worried about what people think about them. They're
Yeah.
too busy worrying about what people think about them and judging and projecting onto everybody else that they don't really care. We all have a little narcissism in us that we think that everyone's worried to, what are we doing and who do we think we are? It's like, no, just serve yourself. Serve yourself. It's like on the airplane, the mask comes down and they tell you, put the mask on yourself first. They don't say, wait, look to see what everybody else is judging and doing first. No, take care of you, or you would die. So it's a process of having the faith enough, muster up enough faith to go do the thing that you're scared the most to do. And it could be in any aspect of life, like going for a walk for fitness, or putting down the alcohol if you're drinking too much, or going to a church, or whatever that next spiritual calling is. Like, enough faith to do the next best thing, and then the next best thing shows up. So
Have enough
it's a
faith to
little
do
bit of
the next
both.
best thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Thanks so much for that. I'm taking that with me from this conversation.
Yeah. Awesome.
So I pulled out the last card already. Are you ready for the last wild
Yeah.
card question?
Yes.
It says, or the question is, what do you wish people could see?
I wish people could see that the struggle, the biggest challenge in their life, is literally the thing that they need to make peace with, to move away from the resistance or the fear of it or the judgment of it. And that is the key that will unlock and set them free to the place that they claim, they believe that they want to get to. I wish people would know that they are the hero of the journey, that they also are the problem. Like, no one is going to come do it for you. I mean, even if you get a coach and you pay them, they're still not going to be able to get to the root. And when we acknowledge that it's us, we're the hero, but we're the victim. And it's almost like the difference between love and hate is a very small line. The difference between that victim and the hero, it's very small. It's a decision. It's just a different lens to look through. And this has been the hardest thing to learn and then to teach, because people will hear it and be like, yeah, but all of these things happen. So are you saying that it didn't happen that way? No, it happened. You can't actually change it, but you can change how you feel about it, and you can change how it defines you. You can change the pain into the fuel, right? You can change the suffering into the surrender. You don't have to live in it. And once you get, it's literally like the smallest step. And it feels monumental because we have so much resistance and blame and shame and regret and upsetness. And we hold so much of our identity to what has happened to us. But when we just shift it to what if it was the greatest momentum, the greatest experience of all the pain to put us into a place of our greatest success, where we become our own healer, we become the advocate, we become the hero. And that does take time. I'm not saying it's overnight, but if we could all, everyone listening, if you just take that as the part of, I wish we all knew that we can change, and we just have to decide that we're worthy of it, that it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to take years. It's just a decision.
It's just a decision. I can change, and it all takes me to make that decision to change. Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Wow, Jennifer, thank you so much for that. It's a lot of action. I mean, it's not enough just for us to affirm things and to claim and to speak into existence, like say, oh, I'm going to achieve this, but we have to take this action, those things that we need to do towards achieving those those words that we want for our lives. Wow. So talking about action and making decisions, I would like us to talk about your story. I would like us to begin at your turning point. Basically, you were in your high achieving corporate world, and then all of a sudden it began to crack because of burnout and different things that happened, and that led you to to turn things around, to change basically. So I would like you to share this healing journey to us, like taking us from that point where you realized, no, I can't continue with this anymore, to the next steps you took towards healing from burnout and exhaustion.
Yeah. So I was crushing it in my corporate career. I was a single mom, and my identity was wrapped around my leadership role. I felt very accomplished, and it made me feel good. And I didn't know then that there is a thing called personas or archetypes or identifications or masks or labels. There's a lot of ways we can now understand what it is, and it could be something simple, like you go back to high school and you think there's the jock, there's the nerd, there's the band geek, right? We all had those, or the cheerleader or whatever. We had these identities and we globbed onto them. We found our circle of friends there, and that was safe and it was comfortable. And it served us to get through the hard stuff. So we carry that through in life. And so mine was this success because there was no way I could fail, meaning I wouldn't allow myself. I had been through a challenging, a toxic marriage, I'll call it. It was unhealthy. And then when I left that, which took me, I wanted out year 1 and I stayed for another 13. It took a very long time. That was not a quick decision. I'm also a recovering codependent. So I put everybody's feelings before mine, and I make everybody else happy before I knew if I was happy. So anyway, I'm in my career finding identification and validation and worthiness there. And until I got to a place where I had an altercation with a boss of mine who I went against his decision and I went over his head because I was doing the right thing for my team and the company and the customer, honestly. And my boss was livid. He was infuriated. He was intolerant of my breaking glass with him. And I was in insubordination. And he threatened to fire me over this, which wasn't actually a fireable offense. He couldn't have, but I was in such a fear-based mentality because I was a single mom and I had just purchased a beautiful new house for my family. I moved my mom in to help me raise my kids because I was single and I wanted to have support and continue to thrive in my career. So I thought I'll have my mom support me with kids. I'll keep traveling and doing the things I'm doing and climbing this corporate ladder because that's who I needed to be to feel good about myself, because deep down inside I had a lack of confidence. I didn't feel worthy. I didn't think I was good enough. I was constantly comparing myself. And anyway, this thing with my boss was this huge altercation that forced me into a place of really confronting the lack of worth. And I didn't live there full time, meaning I wasn't aware it was really a thing because I pretended to be amazingly successful. But on the inside, when you're threatened and put into a fight or flight response, my body somatically responded with panic attacks, high cortisol, chronic stress fatigue, anxiety. So I quickly this is in 2015, 10 years ago, and I wasn't in the yoga space or the alternative medicine or homeopathic or naturopath. I went to a doctor and asked for a prescription for depression and anxiety because I couldn't bear with it. It was too much to handle. I also was in therapy, and that therapist said, "You should go to yoga." Why would I go to yoga? Yoga schmoga. It sounds very boring. I don't want to lay on a mat and take a nap. I want to go punch people in the face. I mean, I was enraged also. I mean, it's amazing. My boss was angry, but so was I. I grew up I was reactive is probably the best thing. Like a volcano ready to erupt. I had a lot of unhealed, unaddressed emotions that were completely suppressed. They weren't repressed. I didn't forget them. I knew about my stuff. I didn't know to the rate of what they would be in the map of consciousness of where they really ranked as abuse or abandonment or violations. I mean, there was some stuff just unprocessed, unaware, and a functional level. So anyway, this thing with my boss causes these energetic responses in the body. I'm smart enough to listen to the therapist, and I am taking the medication, which I love that. And this is not to knock anybody on medication. You got to work your own path. But for me, I had such severe side effects to the anti-anxiety and antidepressant that it maybe was like 2 weeks I took them and my body wouldn't tolerate them. And so that was not an option. Next option is this yoga path. So I go to yoga. My therapist said if I could learn how to breathe from yoga. Yoga is a breathing practice. The anatomy of the breath will help release the pressure that's causing the panic attack. I would do anything to not have to have that pain and that shame. I was embarrassed I'm not able to like lead my team meetings because I still have to work with my boss. I didn't get fired and I didn't quit, although I made a plan that I was going to leave. I didn't like how he treated me and I was for sure not going to stay long, but I knew I needed a plan. But when we'd be in these meetings and I'd have to sit beside him and I'm having the panic attack, it's terribly humbling to not have control or authority over your body. Because it was fear. Fear-based trauma will dominate your body's ability to be present, one, and it will show up in these disorder. It's really a dysregulation of peace and calm. It's the total opposite. It's dysregulated, it's disordered, it's chaotic, it's uncertainty, and it's all based on fear. I didn't know any of this then. So I go to yoga and I'm thinking I'm just going to learn how to breathe and fix this diaphragm thing and I'll be back at slaying and all will be good. I'm an athlete also, so I'm strong and I'm not concerned about if the yoga is going to be hard. I went in assuming I'm going to crush it. Whatever the yoga is, it's going to be, I'll be the best in the room. So although not having confidence in me as a wholeness, the whole human, I could pretend and project that I'm the best in the room. So it's kind of like synthetic confidence. It's very fake. It's not authentic, we'll say. Well, the yoga class was one of the hardest things I've ever done. Those of you who are listening who have not done a vinyasa power flow, let me tell you, it's high endurance. It's a full body workout. The room is 98 degrees. It's very rigorous and fast. It's not laying. It's not a yin yoga. It's not restorative. There was no pillows. The lights were not down and there was not like Zen music. The guy leading the class is playing like classic rock. It's deep. It's rigid. I know I kicked up to a handstand and he caught me. So you have to then hold the handstand. So he's holding my feet and I'm not strong enough in that space. Hot room, fast paced to hold myself in I don't know, it was probably 30 seconds, but felt like 3 minutes. So I literally face plant and then I'm embarrassed that I can't keep up. So I keep going and I'm going and start to get nauseous because the room is hot. And I look back and it's a small room and the door's behind me. I'm like, I want to leave. I want to tap out. I'm done. I'm thinking it's too much. I'm not going to say I'm quitting, but I just want to step outside.
Break.
But there was too many legs and arms moving because they're all doing their vinyasa flow. And all I can do is drop down from a down dog to child's pose. And that literally looks like what you would take a nap in as a child, a little tiny baby pose in I just start crying. I start what I now know, this somatic release starts to come out of you hit the edge, you go and go and go, and then you can't when you can't go anymore. This is the people that are struggling with the overwhelm and the burnout, and it's just you have nowhere else to go but just come down into this path of surrender. And it just poured out of me. All of the ways that I had been pretending to have my life together, probably since my separation and divorce. Everything's awesome. I'm fine. Look at all the things I'm doing so well and being graceful and successful. And none of it was taking care of this vessel, this body that had been keeping track of all the wrongs that have ever been done and never letting it out, right? Never having the somatic release. I stay in that child's pose. I don't know how long I'm there. I know I stayed there long enough till the room emptied because I had cried so much. I was certainly not going to show my face. I mean, I had so much shame of like not killing it and ending the class as the strongest one in the room. I mean, the warrior is definitely one of my archetypes that I don't live as full time, but I pull that card out when I need to. But I came out of that room a changed woman because I got to confront all the ways that I wasn't showing up authentically, because that cry was probably the most authentic thing I had done in a really long time. And I equate that moment, and then all of the classes, I went to yoga every day after that. I equate that time period and that yoga practice as the way that I found myself. And I was in my late 30s. I wasn't 25. I had no idea who I was at the core of my being, other than this high performer and this woman that overcame a tumultuous divorce and a bad marriage. And those were the identities that really created the persona of the get shit done girl, the always dependable, always reliable overachiever. But that wasn't really my truth, because that was just kind of how I had to project, to pretend that I was okay when I really wasn't. So the anxiety and the panic attacks and the depression were all the red flags. They were like, girl, it's about to burn down. You're going down hard. And here's what I know as I study from an Ayurvedic perspective: inflammation in the body, the dysregulation, the disorder that we all of us live in until we don't. That is the number one cause of disease. So that rock bottom for me was the prevention. When I finally started to look inward and be like, well, I have to fix this. What I shared with you at the very beginning is I had to be the hero. I had to address there's some stuff wrong. There's some stuff not working, and all of it is me. The problem was me, not my ex-husband, not my boss. You know, I could live in that story. My boss attacked me, or it really wasn't what I thought it was. He ended up probing me in a way to make me drop down into this investigation, this interview of myself of like, what is really going on here? So that's how my corporate job and career, one, was incredibly supportive. I lived there and I thrived there, and I really found certainty and identity and success. And that was good until it wasn't. Because here's the thing: is the soul is here to have a specific journey. We call it dharma in the yoga space. And it's not about your job. It's about the soul's journey, the soul's purpose. And me living in a false sense of kind of a reality, I created a matrix of my own that looked really good on the outside, but inside my body's breaking down because it's not living authentically. So as I start to go through this path of yoga, I see one day that there's a sign for yoga teachers. And I'm like, wait, I can actually learn to teach what somebody else helped me break through. I mean, honestly, so much of this stuff was completely unconscious to me until that day I dropped down on my knees and I start crying. I'm like, wait, there's a softer woman in here. There's a woman who's deeply hurting, who is ready to surrender and kind of hang up that business persona to start to discover who am I really? Because I wasn't just the role of a leader. So yeah, that's kind of the shift. And then it took me many years to really end that journey with corporate America. I changed jobs, I think maybe 2 more times, and still was building the yoga practice. I started teaching after my certification. I started teaching right away. And I fell in love with what I imagine that teacher saw happen to me. And when I tell you, your healing doesn't have to take years. What happened in that room in the 60 minutes I was there is literally a rebirth. I mean, the death of the ego, the rebirth, and the knowing that there's something more for me. And then as I teach in a yoga class, classes are typically 60 minutes. I see somebody come in, not making eye contact, having that the heaviness of the world on their shoulders, and together we move and breathe for 60 minutes. And when they leave, they're usually full eye contact, full teeth, all the teeth are showing in the smile, and then usually a hug or a conversation, like they're alive again. And I imagine they're taking that time to also find themselves, this journey inward when we've spent our whole life looking outward.
The journey inward.
Yeah.
Wow, I've learned so much from what you shared right now. Thank you so much for sharing that journey with me. Yeah, it's so awesome. I mean, for me, what was coming up for me was basically that moment in that room for you was like the moment where the walls that you built up around yourself had to be torn down, basically. The tears that you shed that day was basically to wash off the wall, wash off the barriers that you built to allow yourself surrender to the things that you have to work on to become who you are today.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
One thing I'm also learning so far, like I've been learning this, but you're emphasized on that a little bit, and that's making it sink better or deeper for me right now. Is that sometimes we have these kind of pains that we experience, like maybe constant stomach aches, for example, constant tiredness. And we think, oh, the medication I'm using is not just good enough. It's not just the headache is, I mean, maybe the pain relief or pain killers I'm taking are not just good enough. And that's why the headache is not going. But sometimes the headache is coming because of something much more deeper
Yeah.
that we can
Yes.
think about. Yeah. And that's why no medication can work on that. We have to really go inwards
Yeah.
to work on those things. Yeah.
100%. Well, there's a lot from the Chinese medicine perspective. All of the organs are associated with emotions. Like liver will hold grief and sadness. My partner has had lung cancer twice, and I had to ask, so what's the grief and sadness in your life, in your body? And let's explore it from that perspective. I've had clients talk about like the kidneys can hold anger. So different parts of our bodies will hold on because it's not being digested. In Ayurveda, we call it ama, undigested food is one. Food will cause inflammation, too much food. A lot of us overeat because of the numbing, because of the chemical response from the preservatives or the sugar or the salt that just feels better than sitting and dealing with what we should deal with emotionally, energetically, go process or have that hard conversation or do the thing. Alcohol, I no longer drink because I also found as I was on my healing journey, I still would dabble and drink when I'd have a hard day. And I'm like, well, what is this? It's numbing. It's not authentic. It's not my truth anymore. So what do I need to do to get to the core of what's really emotionally here that needs to be addressed, acknowledged, processed? So the other part of ama is undigested emotions. So when we don't digest them, and it's not a physical digestion, it's an energetic, it's an emotional release, it's a physical, it can come out through your sweat, through your tears, through movement, but it's not going to just release because you say you're done with it. I mean, many times I've thought, I'm done with that person, I'm done with that thing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't go away. You know, when you think about, you ever hear they're like, let go or just forgive, let it go. I've
Just let
tried. And
go.
then like a day later, I'm like, I'm still mad. You got to process it. So yeah, when you're thinking about, and anyone listening, like, what are we doing? Are we numbing? And is it truly, here's what the thing in the West is the doctors address the symptoms. For me, the symptoms are usually the yellow flag. And if we look at the symptoms, we can easily get to the root. And if we can heal the root, the symptoms leave. And almost always, for me, it doesn't matter if it's structural, a bad back, a sore neck. You know, it's neck and holds the desire to be in control and to have certainty. The spine, it holds rigidity around discomfort in safety. So if we've ever had physical violations or any assaults, especially to the body, especially if it's in the sexual area or reproductive area, the root will lock down. If you travel and you get constipated, the root is holding because you're not safe in a new space. That's why we can't poop when we travel. Everyone's like, I don't know why I'm always constipated when I go. Yeah, your body's like, I'm not safe. Let's hold it. And then magically, the last day of the vacation, you're like, oh, it's fine. You can release, right? So that's
Yes.
the body holding. So we think about resistance and rigidity, but all the different parts of the body is one, eavesdropping on everything you're saying. Your body's constantly listening. And if we're full of the grief and the judgment and the resentment and we're saying these things quietly or loudly, the body's like, okay, that we're disgusting, we're not good enough, or whatever the talk track is. Or if it's, I'm amazing, I am aligned, I am safe, I am loved, it's listening to that. So if there's, what I've learned for sure is we don't want to just touch the symptoms, and we don't want to mask them with medication. You want a holistic plan to get to what is it really about. And it's almost always about unprocessed emotions. And it's probably way back from childhood. And we might think, well, I don't feel like talking about it or doing the therapy. Well, how are the symptoms growing? And what are the side effects of the medication? And maybe, just maybe, take a few months, maybe the next year, and go on the deepest discovery of you and heal, so that the next 50 years can be total thriving, completely connected, authentically available, fully present, and with the desire for more joy and more bliss, not more numbing and more hiding.
Oh, and a total discovery of you.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, how can I know if I've fully processed or digested my emotions? Is there a way to know that, yeah, I've totally worked through
Oh,
everything
yeah.
out?
Yeah. So when you're triggered is unhealed emotion, right? So you get triggered by something somebody says or does, whether you're to judgment or you're reactive or you're just mad. Like, my feedback to my son always is like, why do you care so much about what somebody said or did? And he'll be like, well, because he defends it first. And it's usually it's not aligned to what his values are. But if you're good with your values, then you're good with your values. But for him, it's usually defiance, and he wants to be the justice. I'm right, you're wrong. And when we come into that place, well, why do you need to be right? And his would be, well, because he's been wronged before and he couldn't defend himself. So say it's a parent to a child, or it's in your space, if it's somebody listening that's like, I need to be right. Well, was there a breach of trust? Was there a violation? Was there an assault? When we get triggered and how we react when we're triggered, somebody cuts you off, somebody doesn't pay you back, somebody says something insulting to you, are you just at peace, fully present, and like, yeah, cool, no, I'm not fighting that battle today, not my battle to fight? Or are you like, they're wrong, or blah, 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 and totally reactive? That's how we know we have unhealed trauma. So we want to look for the lens of, okay, and I'm not always like kumbaya and peace and love. I mean, I'm still human, but when I'm triggered, I know it. And I'll know right away if I'm usually cussing will come out and I'm like, ooh, that wasn't nice. Like, what's this? Why am I so mad? Okay, I feel offended. I feel insulted. I feel threatened. I feel dishonored. I start to try to give it language to the name of the emotion. Okay, and then my next question is, well, is this real? Is this really, are these emotions true for what just happened? And a lot of time they're really exaggerated because they're from an unhealed trauma, almost always from childhood, where we were in a place that we were overpowered, usually a parent or a coach or a teacher, right? We couldn't talk back, or we couldn't speak up for ourselves, or we couldn't defend ourselves. And all that absolutely needs to be healed. But how we know we're not healed is if it's still showing up in, I call it adult-sized tantrums. You see men more than women will still go fight. Maybe they back into a car and then they're coming out and they're ready to go. Dukes are up. And is that really necessary? Probably not. Could it have been settled with a conversation and an insurance exchange or offer to pay or an apology? That would be two men healed in their divine masculine and feminine, fully healed and aligned. Unhealed, dukes up, let's effing go. And there's room to heal there. So I've been on the deep discovery of deep healing for about 12 years now. It's less often I get triggered, but I will say during heightened stress, me getting my house ready to sell a few weeks ago, I was in this room on a call like this,
Yeah.
and I hear a whole bunch of commotion right out here. Those who are watching is just two doors to the outside of the house, the family room, and I hear this commotion and a big bang. My dogs are running to the front door. My son tried to catch him, and he literally like fell through the wall. And I don't know quite how it happened, but I go to see what's going on. They're like, there's a hole in the wall, Mom. And I thought that they were joking. we can't have a hole in the wall. There's people coming to look to buy the house. Like we don't have time to have a contractor come fix the wall. And I look and the hole's like this big. It's like this big hole. And I lost my temper and I said some unkind things. And then all I wanted to do was I didn't care as much about the hole as much as the noise so I could get back on my call and handle my work. And then after my son said, "You didn't even ask if I was okay." I'm like, "I don't know if I cared if you were okay. You were disturbing me." But that's not who I am today. That is an old pattern of reactivity where I'm selfishly absorbed with my time's more important than your time. So I had to apologize. And in my house, we apologized with ice cream. We went out and got ice cream and then all was well. So that's how I know there's still an unhealed part of me that wanted to discipline and make sure he knew he interrupted. I know you can also then figure out, where did you learn it? I learned that from my dad. That's how I was raised. My dad would have done something even more dramatic. Like we probably would have got a yelling, not a timeout, but like there would have been some form of discipline in the
Some
retribution.
whipping.
Maybe a whipping. I mean, if my son's 19. Last time I was spanked, I was 9. But the thought of like punishment, the children are being bad, they're misbehaving, they must be punished. And I don't raise my kids that way, but I was raised that way. So it's still sometimes unconsciously, this brain has encoded and memorized everything. And I sometimes, when I'm triggered in a high stress state, will drop into old, like robot me, talk like my dad. And then I apologized like 10 times and I'm like, "Buddy, that was just awful." And then I can look at myself as like almost third person, like, wow, what a mess. Now, granted, high stress, not ideal situation. Nobody got hurt, but that's how you know you're not healed. And I don't know if in this lifetime, if there's enough years to come to be like, "I'm done. I get to graduate and come as an angel and be a guide for the next level of humanity." I don't know if that actually happens in this lifetime, but we can just do better. Every time we get triggered, sit, ask yourself, what is this really about? What are these emotions? Where do I feel it in my body? Is this real? Are these emotions valid for this situation? And maybe they are. Maybe they absolutely are. But then where did I learn it? When have I seen this before in my life? And do I want to live that way? Or do I want to start to heal it?
Yeah. Yeah, you just make me remember that we're all work in progress, basically, and sometimes we could
Amen.
relapse. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And so just the grace to share, I think, with the people that you love and love you the most, just in the healing process, like, please just give me enough space for feedback. Tell me when, when I first really started getting deep into my work, when I got separated, I learned that I didn't want to talk to my kids the way my father spoke to me. And I read a book from Dr. Shafali called Conscious Parenting. And she had a whole series on Oprah that the children are our teachers. We don't need to be the disciplinary and raise them in the hierarchy, which is how I was raised. Learn from them and collaborate with them. Obviously, keep them out of danger, but don't dominate them. Don't steal their voice. Don't make them voiceless. And I think a lot of us, if you're in your late 40s and 50s, you probably were raised with go to your room or I'll give you something to cry about. And that kind of behavior, or the whippings, like that steals our voice and our truth, because we don't want to get physically or emotionally or energetically assaulted again. But this doctor had taught me to have a different lens of how I raise my children. And in that moment, I said to the kids, I need help. When you hear me getting angry and talking in a way that's not kind, I want you to call me Mean Mommy. When Mean Mommy's here, I said to them, "How much does it hurt you?" And they got all teared up, and they were like 4 and 6 at the time. "It hurts us so much. It scares us." I thought, "Oh my God, I'm scaring my own children. Like, I don't want to be that mother." And so I had to at times put myself in the pantry and close the door when I get really mad at them over they spilled something, like the silliest things I'd be so upset about. Programmed, learned it. Go lock myself in the pantry and wait till I settled myself down, did some breath work, and would come out and apologize, and we'd clean up the mess. So I just would separate from the ticking time bomb, not make such an impact on the kids that they would hate me forever. And now we don't ever have Mean Mommy come out, except obviously the other day, maybe she came out a little bit, but it's been like 12 years since I had to have those really apologetic conversations like, I want to get better and I need your help. So I think also having somebody in your life that you love and that you respect, to give them that permission to give you the feedback and be ready to hear it, because they're going to come at you and be like, yo, you were rude, you were hurtful, you were unkind, and that's not acceptable. And then you agree, you're right. I'll do better. I apologize. I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. It's a program. And then we get better every day. Yeah.
When we know better, we do better. When we keep on reprogramming our minds. And yes, yeah. Would you say yoga and breath work, helped you to, be able to separate yourself from the time bomb and, to be more conscious
Yeah,
than just,
1,000%. Yeah, I studied yoga first. I just got into breathwork a few years ago. I think the learning and the honest truth is that we are not our programs. And when you do the internal work, when you go inward and you start to realize I am bigger than this moment and bigger than this period of my life. I'm here, and you really identify, like, what am I here for? And set a statement of values. Like, who are you? What do you stand for? And start to follow that protocol of aligning to your values. I am here to support and impact this world for the greater good, for the collective. And then you can't go be an asshole if that's actually like your mission statement, right? So the yoga gave me the internal work and the relationship with myself. And when we lack the integrity, or we're out of integrity with self, then we'll do a lot of poor things. We'll make lots of poor decisions. We won't be kind and mindful to anybody because we're not being kind and mindful to ourselves, right? Like, how do we expect to treat other people well when we treat ourselves like crap? So yoga helped me heal me, which once I could heal me, then I could be a better mother. There was no chance I'd be a good mother or good human if I had zero relationship with myself. My lack of worth, my lack of not my feeling an obsession with not feeling like I was enough cost me my relationship with myself and my kids. So that yoga was the coming home. It was the reclamation. I am worthy. I am amazing. I am loved. I'm loved beyond measure. And I don't need to look for love outside of me. I already am. I don't need somebody else to tell me I'm enough. I already am more than enough in these moments, in these days. The breath work for me really helps with more of that somatic releasing too. So it's a little bit like if you've done sound healing with gongs. So the gongs just shake some of the stuff loose. And so does the breath work. So it just opens up these channels of dormant trauma living unprocessed, undigested in the body, but still causing pain and suffering and wreaking havoc on your organs, on your plasma, on your bones, on the tissue. And that's part of that trigger. And you get triggered. It's like, back up. I'm now a mean person, totally reactive. If we start to let some of that out from the breath work, let some of that out through the yoga, the movement, and now believe not just breath is the medicine, but the movement is the medicine. And not movement like running. Unless you're really connected to the body at a spiritual level on a run, the yoga gives me the access to, I am a soul in this body, and it is my duty of service to care deeply for this vessel that I've been gifted to go experience life with. I no longer abuse myself, which I did for many years with either food or alcohol or overtraining or self-deprecation, like depleting my energy sources, just overdoing it. And never, I would say things like, oh, I'll sleep when I'm dead. I'll just keep going. Like, I would go party with a, sinus infection, take the medication, and then go have alcohol on top of it to go be with friends and say, I'm fine. I'll sleep when I'm dead. Like, so cheeky I thought I was. And instead it's just these baby assaults to the body, to the temple. And it's like, no, we forget how special we are. And certainly if we see it in children, we wouldn't let children stay up all night drinking soda and eating junk food. And if we ever have, we know what they act like the next day. They're absolutely miserable.
yeah.
That's what most humans act like, because that's how they're treating themselves or not treating themselves, mistreating, right? So yoga and breathwork, especially the yoga, I will easily say it saved my life. And I say that in a way of, I had such a false sense of identity before I found myself. And it's been just the most brutal and beautiful and amazing journey to get to this place. And I'm still not done. Still do my yoga every day, and I still will do the breath work, and I'll still go on special walks, and just moving meditation is really a passion of mine too. But they can be really beautiful tools in somebody's toolkit.
Yes. I mean, I was asking that question because, there are a lot of people out there or listeners out there today who are experiencing, burnout in their place of work, for example, or from their career or being, self-employed and running, going. And what you said right now is something that's I've heard sometime also from people. I'm going to rest when I die. Basically, I just have to keep on running, going, be up to date on things, be in every event, be present everywhere, but not being present with oneself, basically.
Yeah,
And that leads to a lot of damages down
it
the road
does.
of damaging.
And to like ask ourselves, like, what is that really about? Is that really serving me? Because we serve a lot of other people before we serve ourselves. And I think that's the deep introspection of why. When did that start? And what is it costing you at this moment? And it's usually a diagnosis when the doctor's like, hey, you've got this thing. And you're like, now I have to start taking care of myself. Well, why can't we do it before that happens? Why don't we just claim I am worthy of healing and being present to this body and treating this life like it's sacred? This is a sacred journey.
We have to be awakened to go through the journey. You have to be fully
Yeah.
present to go
Yeah.
through the journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a question for you. You're someone who has experienced both sides of the world, basically. You experienced both sides of the spectrum, like corporate burnout and now spiritual embodiment.
Yeah.
Like what message do you have for high achievers out there who feel stuck and unfulfilled, even though they are pushing and running, but still feel unfulfilled?
Yeah. So the unfulfillment is a yellow flag, which can become a red flag. I think it's a symptom. I don't think it's necessarily any different than a diagnosis or the anxiety, the depression. They all kind of go hand in hand. When we are not aware of what our soul came here to do, and I just want to clarify too. There's a lot of people that are like, no, it's more physical. We're here for a physical experience. No, when your body physically dies, the soul leaves the body. I think we all understand the energetics of that. So the soul goes on. So it obviously came here to do something. And my belief is we all came here to do something amazing, to not just be minimal, to not just stand on the sideline and to watch other people have an extraordinary life. And you get to define what extraordinary is to you. And it doesn't have to be something over the top or what you think is like too big. It can just be the bigness of you, just not to shrink. When we come to terms with the lackluster or during the pandemic, had this feeling of just sheer unhappiness. I couldn't remember. I kind of did this assessment, like, when was I happy last? And what is happiness? And it's a little polarizing to have an idea of what happy is, or you see it in other people, and then to drop into the tailspin of like, I'm so alone and I'm not enough and I'm not happy. And how did I get here? And it's very victim. You drop into the victim state of like, this all happened to me, instead of the empowerment of, well, if I'm not happy, what would be happy for me? What would me happy look like? So when we feel like there's not meaning in our life, when we feel unfulfilled, even though we're checking the boxes, those boxes being checked may have served you, and maybe you have graduated or it's expiring. Maybe it's time to do something different. Like the corporate career carried me through some really dark stuff with being a single mom and gave me the financial ability to raise two kids, and we didn't suffer at all. And then it was done because my soul was like, sister, check the box. It is time for something more. And when I wasn't ready to check the box, it's like, okay, I'm going to give you panic attacks and anxiety, and I'll bring in the boss who will be the villain, and I'll bring in these other examples so I could finally get the lesson and be like, okay, all right, that was hard, but we were resist because we're scared and we don't have enough faith, like we talked about at the beginning. It's a yellow flag and maybe even a red flag that it's time to take the step back and start doing a moral inventory. Who are you? What are your values? What do you actually want? And it's not about how you do the thing you want, whatever the dream is. I mean, it might go back to childhood. You wanted to be the veterinarian, you wanted to be a lawyer, and now you've done all these other things, and it'd be too much money, or it'd be too hard to go back to school, or it's too hard to get divorced. Like, it's not, don't let yourself get stuck in the how will it all happen. Just find the thing or things that would make you thrive and feel happy. And if you could get to that state, the who, the resources, the people, they start to show up, whether it's a coach, whether it's an investor, whether it's somebody that will just advocate and cheer. It might be your best friend that's going to be like, I can't help you financially, but I will cheer you on the whole way, and I'll drive you to your sessions, or whatever it is. Like, resources show up. Like, when we align, everything starts to align in our favor. Life is always happening for us. We are the ones that resist the next step because we don't think we're equipped or that we're qualified, and we don't believe we're enough. So that meaning and purpose is doing really special work that's sacred to. And I think when we do the sacred work for the meaning for ourselves, it is also the sacred work for the world.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
It's that impact. We all want to do it. We all want to contribute. We are all called to it. But when we're busy doing the thing that we think is our paycheck or our title, probably isn't the thing that's going to serve the soul and serve the world for the greater collective. But when we say, okay, I got a red flag, a yellow flag, I don't need to do that anymore. What do I really want to do? And then start to create that, everything else starts to align. And then conspiring for the good, for the greater good. We're all here for the good. And the bad stuff happens too, but it doesn't have to be your lifeline. It doesn't have to be forever.
Once we align to our soul's purpose, everything else aligns, basically. We are here, we are on this planet for a purpose, and one of the purposes is to create impact, be positive impact to the world, basically, create
Yep.
positive impact to the world. And
100%.
that's what you are doing also right now with,
Yeah.
with everything that you do. Like,
Yeah, it's everything, and it aligns, and it means everything to me. And I can't believe it took me this long to get here, because I've wanted to do this kind of work since I was a little girl. I just got caught up in the program that you have to go do these other things and work for somebody else. It's very much a program. And I think a lot of people succumb to it until they go, wow, I've got the diagnosis, or I've got the lack of purpose, or I'm going through a divorce. And now what? And it feels so scary. But it doesn't have to be, because it's a brand new, it's like a whiteboard. You get a brand new clean whiteboard and you start to whiteboard out what in your wildest dreams do you want to create or contribute to? And then let's go. Make it, take that next step, start to take action, inspired action, and ask for help and go make it and live from that place. More joy, more happiness. It's totally blissful. And then you don't have to wonder, why am I unhappy? You create the happy.
you're pretty happy. Yeah. Talking about asking for help, I would like us to plug in your work already. Like, for people out there who are listening and they're already asking, I would like to connect with Jennifer. I would like to ask her further questions that we're able to cover in this conversation. I would like to maybe work with her and maybe connect with her, basically, just for other resources. So
Yeah.
what's the best way to do this?
Yeah, thank you. To follow me on Instagram, I post a lot of my content there. It's at jksyoga_coaching. My website is jksyoga.com. I'm also on LinkedIn. My full name is Jennifer Kenney-Smith. And all of those channels have my information on workshops, on master classes, on my yoga. I teach yoga every day. We do virtual yoga. And then that place is like a daily ritual to connect with your higher self, your higher authority, your sovereignty, and change the frequency of yourself, where you're no longer in that lackluster and that lack of purpose and meaning. You are aligned and charged and ready to unleash into the next version of you. Yeah.
Ready to unleash the next version of you. I love that so much. I'm going to place a link to your website in the show notes of this episode. So I encourage everyone out there to connect with you. You have all your social media information on your website also, so you could all choose the best channel to reach out to you and to work with you also. I really appreciate it. I mean, I really enjoyed listening to you, how you just shared your story. Basically, you were very, very vulnerable with, sharing how your journey was like, and sharing your practice and sharing your light. And that was a big blessing for me. It's a big blessing for me to learn from that and to be impacted from that. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
If there's one last word, I think you shared a lot already, but if there's still one just very last message that you'd love to leave our listeners with, what would that be?
Yeah, my favorite is just to remind everybody that they are enough and they are worthy of taking that next step into their path of healing. I think we all forget, and we've all fallen away from knowing how incredibly special we are. So you are worthy of stepping into your greatness and to living in that dream state and finding your joy and bliss. And that probably takes some work to get there, but you are worthy and enough, and to go get that. No need to settle. No need to live in that pain and that shame. That place feels pretty dark, and I live there. And I'll tell you, the other side feels a lot better.
Yeah, the other side is pretty much better.
Yeah.
Do not settle for less. You are enough. Yes, you are capable to take control of your future and your life. Thank you so much, Jennifer. This was awesome.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you very much.